would like you to touch on the R&D grants and the EMDG or the export marketing grants that are available for SME businesses, because I know quite a few of our businesses may be able to make use of them.
Well, we know, Dinesh, that a lot of SMEs rely critically on the R&D credits program when they're doing eligible R&D, and it's really important that they get their R&D claims right. But when they do that, they can access, critical cash if they're in losses. So it's a program that we see being utilised at that growth phase where you're trying to really build your brand, build your products. And that product building and development is well supported by this R&D tax incentive program, and that's the critical plank for supporting innovation in Australia. So whilst I've run through a lot of direct funding that the government has put up in the budget, generally the governments are slow at picking winners. I mean, even though I think we have given credit where credit's due for this budget, where they're talking about AI and etc. But we don't really want them just saying, right, this sector and that sector. You want innovation, in my view, to find its own place in the economy. Because we're an advanced economy, we actually want the SMEs out there to tell us what we're good at, not the government sort of trying to pick winners. That's an age-old phrase, but I think it's really relevant. So there was no mention of the R&D tax incentive in the budget, which I think is a good sign around certainty for businesses to know that they've got that critical support. Obviously, we interpret that positively. They're constantly looking at the program. I know the new minister is he's been talking a lot to industry and to sectors and to industry associations about the importance of this program and getting their feedback, which I think is excellent. But we also believe that innovation and this indirect funding for business is really critical. And as Raj just touched on, we'd love to see a broader tax reform debate in Australia. And that's a brave thing for a government to do. So, let's sit and wait and see. But innovation is so important to our economy that we've got to keep investing in it and providing that indirect funding. We still lag behind a little bit in relation to the OECD average around investment in R&D. So we currently sit for R&D expenditure as a percentage of our GDP at 1.8%. That was at 2020, the latest figures available, which is well below the current OECD average of 2.7%. So, it's about encouraging innovation in Australia. So as I said to you, and, just want to reiterate that it's good that it wasn't touched. It gives companies certainty. And we're about to go in. The other thing to get ready for, Dinesh, before 30 June, and Raj, I'm sure we'll touch on this too, is try and do your R&D claims in year. That protects you against risk. If you've got any documentation gaps, you can look to fill those by doing the documentation in year, which is a requirement of the program. But also, you're able to identify your eligible activities much more easily, get your claim in quickly, and access the refund if that's available to you. So we do a lot of work with SMEs right here and now. May and June have become really strong R&D claim months. So it's a really good benchmark for business to think about to get it done now, so you can lodge it in July and then put in your tax return quickly thereafter. A couple of other things just to touch on. So think about that as a business. If you need help on R&D, reach out to us. We're always happy to assist. We've got a big team here nationally at Grant Thornton that work predominantly in the SME space. But a couple of other things in the budget that were a bit disappointing. So there was no mention of the patent box. So it sounds like that has lapsed. There was draft legislation introduced. It was introduced in the 22 federal budget. It was going to be a 17% concessional tax rate for companies that had IP development in the medical and biotech sector. But this new government has not picked up on it. The legislation that went to Parliament in Feb 22 is now lapsed. So we presume that there won't be a patent box regime anytime soon in Australia. So a bit disappointing, because we were hoping to see it broaden to other sectors beyond biotech and medical sciences as well. Another sort of devil in the detail was about the EMDG program. And for those corporates out there, that's an export market development program grants, where you can get access to funding to undertake export activities, marketing activities predominantly. Really good program. It allows people to get offshore, market their products and services, and gives them some great 50-50 match funding. Unfortunately, in the detail in the budget was announced a cut to that funding of $61 million. It importantly doesn't impact current applicants, so people that already got a grant underway or have received a grant agreement. But I mean, I think it's disappointing. I think it's the wrong step. I think we've got to be always out there pushing Australia to the global trade stage. Yes, sorry, I think I just got that all mixed up. But the global stage. There's too many alliterations in that. They are announcing and have announced that they're going to do another consultation. So I encourage corporates to really put in to say how critical this program is. Albeit small, it adds up. It, you know, provides really key. It helps you around things as simple as translating your websites. It's, you know, social media advertisements. It's traveling to conferences, setting up trade shows. So a lot of the associations online will know what I'm talking about, and they can access the EMDG as well. So if they're going offshore, they can actually get support from the government to push their key sectors through the EMDG program. So that's a bit disappointing, but to sort of swing back to ending, you know, my commentary is, I think we've seen a lot of investment by the government, both at the direct, they've really pushed on this direct space. So as long as we keep that really good balance around indirect support and direct support, it's, you know, it's been good for SMEs, I think. But let's see as they roll out how easy they are to access, and reach out for help if you need it to Grant Thornton.